Welcome to Good Money Guide Taxi Trading. We've got a real treat for our inaugural episode. My old mate Nick, who's been knocking around the city of London for decades, is going to take control of the app, put some trades on. We're going to have a chat about his trading, what he likes to trade, and just a general chit chat about what's going on in the markets.
Hello, sir.
Sweetings, please.
Sweetings. I think we can find that. So you know how this works?
No.
Okay. What we're going to do, we're going to give you a trading app.
Yep.
You've got your journey. So Sweetings, that's about 15. We'll make it 20 minutes. You've got 20 minutes to make as much money as you can.
Okay.
On the Good Money Guide, phone. Let me log you in, and then you're away. Right. There you go. There's the Good Money Guide phone. You've got 20 minutes. Starting from now to make as much money as you can trading. Whatever you make is yours to keep, but if you lose money, don't worry, it's just the demo. We'll put a line through it, as they say. So what are we trading, Nick?
Okay, so I'm trading FTSE 100.
All right.
And I have just bought the contract.
Have we gone large or are we starting small?
Size £5 a point.
I remember the glory days of the FTSE. I used to trade the FTSE every day, without fail.
What's my maximum?
You've got 10 grand risk capital. When you enter a buy or sell ticket, it'll come up with the margin at the base. And I believe margin on the FTSE when you're trading CFDs is about 5%. So you've got 20 times leverage. So £1 a point would be, what's the FTSE at? 7,600-ish?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's about 7.
It keeps going insufficient funds because I'm trying to max out.
You're trading too big, Nick. You're trading too big.
Okay, so I've bought £25 a point of the FTSE 100 contract, and my P&L is currently down £16.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so I'm maxed out.
All right. Well, fingers crossed. As we go over the bridge into the city of London, let's hope that it gets a little better. Why the FTSE, Nick? What's the attraction?
I think it's very undervalued. I think interest rate cuts are on its way. I think the macro picture's quite compelling for the FTSE 100. I think in terms of trading, like to trade with a trend. I think it's underperformed.
Well, it's massively underperformed, isn't it? I saw you just got to look at any social media account. Everybody is so rude about the FTSE.
You look at crypto, you look at gold, you look at the Nikkei, you look at Nasdaq. There's some catching up to do, and we have some world-class companies in the FTSE 100.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of traditional, stable companies in the FTSE 100. If you compare it to the S&P, which is all anybody ever talks about, there's just massive growth tech companies on there. But there's a lot of dividend plays in the FTSE.
The big beginning of the year, my big themes were buying the video shares.
Okay, all right, brilliant.
Buy Bitcoin, sell with Actor. They had a placing, they've halved. And buy the Nikkei. So far, so good.
What do you think is going to happen with Bitcoin? I mean,
I think we've got the halving coming up. I think fair value's quite a lot lower over the next month or two. Production charges are obviously going to go up, but it's an asset class that I don't really understand.
No, neither do I. I haven't got a clue, but people love it. People love it.
It almost feels like a Generation Z trade to do.
I did an interesting podcast with Simon Peters, who's a crypto analyst. He's been a crypto analyst about 5 years with one of the really big brokers. I mean, they're all in on crypto. But I still can't find a use case for it. Yeah. I think what's interesting about crypto is if you position it as a stock within your portfolio instead of an asset class.
Yeah.
Like it's just a stock. I mean, picture of it as a mining stock, whereas miners are looking for gold, they're looking for oil, and they do well if they find it. But with Bitcoin, they're punting on a use case, aren't they? Like if there's a use for it.
Well, there's no intrinsic value, is there?
Yeah.
But this ETF, this almost, the market's regulating it now.
Yeah.
It's just seen a weight of money go into it.
And I think one of the things that really came out of that was the institutional buying, and there's been so much institutional flow, because why on earth would a fund you know, a regulated fund that looks after customer money start mucking about in you know, off-exchange products, unless that's their remit. Otherwise, they're just doing a Woodford, aren't they? Going massively off-piste. How are we doing on the FTSE, Nick?
So currently I'm down £36.
£36.
And I wore my lucky socks, my old trading socks today, my trading pants.
I noticed you were wearing your red jacket and your red
Yes,
socks.
This is from a previous life.
Yeah. Well, that's one of my 50 rules of trading. If you watch my 50 rules of trading video, one of the rules is you must always wear something red when trading, whether it's braces,
So
a
are you a
jacket,
seller for choice?
seller for choice. What does that mean?
Basically a two-way price. You know, you're basically a seller. You'd rather be a seller than a buyer.
Overall, I'm a jobber in the FTSE. I think I completely agree with you. I think there is more value to be had from it. I think there's a lot of growth. I think a lot of that growth will come from the smaller cap stocks, though. I think a lot of the incumbent FTSE 100 companies perhaps are fairly valued, but I think there's a lot to be gained from the smaller indexes, like the 250. I think will be interesting.
So what advice would you give to day traders?
I wouldn't give any advice because you're not allowed to do that. And I think we should make that perfectly clear. This is not investment advice.
Yep.
We do not give investment advice. We do not know your personal circumstances. Please don't sue me if you lose money.
Yep.
This is only guidance, chat and opinion. I don't know, well, I'm a jobber. I think it's got a great range, the FTSE. I think it's unlikely to peak and crash like the US indices. I think it's nice and stable, it's nice and liquid. And I think it's just one of those great indices that you can trade every day. There's such great news flow around it, not just UK based, because most of the companies on the FTSE are
Overseas earnings, sort
yeah,
of 80% or whatever it is.
it may be a London market, but it's an international market. And
Absolutely.
that's actually one of the great things about the London Stock Exchange, that yes, we may be in London, but it is an international market. And I think people forget that sometimes when they're slagging off the LSE for not getting enough listings in. And
But the LSE are a data company now, aren't they?
yeah,
You know, they're being criticised for making London not attractive for these IPOs.
do you think London's becoming unattractive because of the massive overvaluation of US companies when they come to market, and the people trying to get out just want to get out? You know, when they come to market, that's so that the early investors and the VCs can get their money out.
But the reality is that if I was listed in London at the moment, you would not have basically all these tracker funds and passive funds who are piling in because they've got to have exposure.
Yeah.
And that would be, for me, if I was chief exec looking to float, I would have to seriously consider the US.
Yeah, that's it. And but do you think that's where companies come a cropper as well? I think one of the prime examples was Kazoo. Like, it's a brilliant company, Kazoo. British company listed in the States, massively overvalued as a tech company, and then just completely fell out of bed because it was given a tech valuation instead of a used car dealer valuation.
But this tech is obviously being driven by AI. And somebody said to me the other day that, you know, in compare it to the internet boom and bust, that we're only in sort of 1995, so we've still got 5 years before the bubble bursts, and I use that term loosely.
Yeah.
But it's a feeding frenzy, you know, and the PEs are just sky high, right?
Yeah. Well,
I think it's going to be deflationary. I think it'll drive interest rates down. So, you know, and I think it will make us more efficient. They're always talking about the UK and productivity. It's going to be good news, I think, used properly.
Yeah. Talking of PEs though, like you do see a lot of this, interestingly enough, from fund managers on social. You wouldn't expect boring fund managers to be on social, but there's a lot of chat about PE ratios and comparing them to the ratios in the previous bubbles, and they're actually a lot lower.
Correct.
Like Nvidia's trading, what was that trade, 32 times? Something like that? I can't remember.
33 I think.
Yeah, I can't remember offhand, but there's a lot of chatter about how they're not at bubble ratios yet. But no, I'm a jobber in the FTSE. because I think it's
Jobbing's hard.
I think it's a great market to be in and out of, like trading though, you know.
Well, I'm down just £11 now.
Okay. You know, you can. Have you
I'm maxed out.
You've gone balls out.
Yeah.
One trade.
Yeah.
It's going to go up. Do you want me to drive you to the airport so you can get a plane to Rio? It's a Rio trade. You're either going to do really well and make loads of money, or it's going to be a complete.
If you buy it on the open, okay, you've got all day to get your money back, right?
You do. On the flip side, though, you've got all day to lose more.
Yeah. But then you double up the wrong way. That's another story.
So what else do you like to trade? Let's have a look at a few other bits on. I'd just like to get your opinion on some markets then. So what other markets do you like? Obviously FTSE, you're a long-term long.
Let's have a look at the S&P.
Because the S&P, I mean, that's only going one way, but that does peak and trough.
Yeah, the trend is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Higher highs, higher lows. You wouldn't want to be short that.
No. It's interesting. We've got a really good piece on little pitch here on the Good Money Guide. We have a page that shows stocks at 52-week highs. So if you search Good Money Guide 52-week highs, it will show you all the stocks trading at their yearly highs. And on that, we have some really great analysis about whether or not you should buy or sell markets when they're touching all-time highs. And the general consensus is, you know,
the trend is your friend. Don't buck the trend, right?
Exactly, like all-time highs, you should be buying them.
But psychologically, people find that very, very difficult.
It's so difficult, isn't it? It's so difficult. And all-time highs can keep on happening and keep on happening and keep on happening.
Because if you buy an all-time high and it does pull back, you feel like a sausage.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a big cliff to fall off as well.
Yeah.
As that chart goes up and then smashes back down. But
the DAX has rallied from 14,400 to 17,600 on a daily chart, almost in a straight line.
Yeah.
Just extraordinary.
What about pairs trading?
Pairs.
So if you were long the FTSE, would you hedge against another indices?
See, on the pairs trading, in the good old days when we were trading, it was FTSE versus Wall Street.
Yeah.
And there's an old
bit of a
saying,
divergence there,
you eat like a pigeon and you like an elephant. And everyone was always stealing pigeon amounts of food, and then it went badly wrong when people lost their houses. And they were called into the compliance department. So I remember one big bank, they all did this pairs trade, and it nearly wiped them out. And obviously the compliance, I think, were more worried that they wouldn't have any traders left because they were all homeless.
So that's completely the opposite of what a pairs trade is supposed to be.
Well,
isn't
you're
it?
meant to be hedging, aren't you?
That's it. Right, but then this was in the days when indices sort of moved fairly in line with each other, and you were just looking at the divergence between the two, which was always really interesting. I mean, the thing I used to love trading when I was on the oil floor was the spread between the different months in the futures. You know, that was a great. I mean, there's none of that arbitrage anymore. None of that.
I've just got into profit as we've crossed over Blackfriars Bridge.
Oh, there we go. See, the closer to the heart of the city of London we get,
my crab lunch.
the more profitable the FTSE becomes. Oh dear. What about currencies? What's your view on
Cable? Never trade it. Most impossible pair in the world.
Well, you say that, but when I was doing that 24-hour demo in the city, remember when we went to the Lamb? We had a Swift Pine. We were chatting about cable then. That was actually the most profitable trade of the day. I was trading off a 10 grand float, real money actually.
You must have got lucky.
I've
never met any currency trader who says anything good about trading cable.
Okay.
It does its own thing.
So currencies, which ones you like? Not necessarily that it's going to go up or down, but
it's not really a market that I ever really traded.
Yeah.
I was much more interested in the indices.
What's going on there? I completely agree with you. I find Forex impossible to trade. Like indices, I understand it because it's based on stock market prices.
Yeah.
Stocks is great and commodities is great as well. But Forex just seems to me an absolute minefield.
But if you get a central bank coming in, they're going to move it
Yeah.
more than you could possibly. You just can't compete.
No.
And these people are trading on this leverage that they're offered. I've just too difficult.
Yeah, well, I remember. Did you remember the Swiss cap as well? Like that was when that got pulled. Like the whole market was decimated.
Yeah.
But yeah, foreign exchange. I can't quite figure it out if I'm completely honest. All right, Nick. Just going to swing past St Paul's. You got 4 minutes left on your positions.
Well, according to this, I'm down £48 now.
Oh, this is it. See, look, we're driving away from the city now to come back towards Sweetings. I do like Sweetings actually. I think I'm going to have to go to Sweetings when I'm.
We had lunch there, didn't we?
Yeah, but I was doing dry January at the time, so I couldn't have a black velvet. What is the point in going if you can't have a black velvet?
Exactly.
Okay, so we got 4 minutes. I'll swing round somewhere and then we'll. Oh, there's some good chat.
Well,
there,
my lucky socks aren't exactly very lucky for the last 20 minutes, are they?
You're supposed to be trading under pressure.
I am under huge pressure, but trading is about not getting yourself into a tiswas.
Do you know what? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. One thing we are not in doing is encouraging people to trade recklessly. So you're absolutely right, Nick. Sometimes there's not a trade in the market, and just.
No, the only bit of advice I'd give: if your balls ache, you know you've got too big a position.
That's yeah, fair enough. Let's just pull a U. It turns on a sixpence. These things. They're actually great to drive, Nick. Like if you ever get the opportunity to get one of these things. All right, Nick. We got 2.5 minutes to go. How are we getting on?
Down £48.
Down £48.
Which for £25 max bet is not bad.
This isn't going to pay for your lunch, Nick. You're not getting a free lunch on the back of this.
I don't know if we could, if there's any 9:30 figures out today that we could run the cab for another 5 minutes.
Yeah, we can do. Do you want to have a look? So if you click on there, there's an economic calendar tab. So click on my account in the bottom right.
Account, economic calendar.
And that should show you all the figures that are coming up today, and in particular what markets it's going to move. If you click on the figures, we've got ECB at 115, but I can't drive you around till 115, I'm afraid.
This is a nice app.
It's a good app, isn't it? Unfortunately, they didn't want to do it. They were worried that we were gamifying trading, but I actually quite like their app, and it comes with a 10 grand demo account, which I think is about right. So when you trade, what do you trade on?
I don't trade anymore. In the old days, you used to trade FTSE.
You were on the floor, weren't you?
Yeah, for a
So
period.
tell me about the jacket.
So live floor, people had different coloured jackets showing which banks they worked for, but the red jacket was you were a local, so you were providing liquidity to the market because you were trading your own money. The locals would take long-term positions, very short-term positions. They would scout the markets. And it was all about liquidity and trying to keep your sanity.
Trying to keep your sanity, yeah, you're absolutely right. When I was on the floor, I had a blue jacket with red piping.
Did you?
Yeah, it was, I mean, I was only a clerk checking tickets. I never got to trade, but it's
amazing that the people who made a lot of money on the floor generally, when it went screen-based, couldn't transfer their skill sets.
It's a completely different world. Trading against another person versus trading on the screen, like you sort of lose that instinctiveness with what's going to happen to the market. Yeah. You could almost sort of feel it moving one way or another.
You could hear the noise, the fear, the greed.
Yeah. All right, Nick, here we go. Sweetings.
Thank you very much indeed.
My favourite fish restaurant of all time.
Are we in New York and I have to give you a 30% tip mandatory?
Yeah, you do. There we go. Well, let's just come in here. There we go. All right, mate.
Thank you very much.
Let's have a look. Let's see how we did. Oh, down 73 at the end. Never mind, mate. Well, thanks for playing. Oh, you put 2 trades on?
Yeah. Well, I tried to max it out.
All right. Let's close them off then. So there we go, some good chat about the FTSE, but unfortunately no profits from an old school trader. If you think you can do any better, search Good Money Guide Taxi. We'll take you for a ride around the City of London.